NATO this morning calling those mysterious leaks in the Nord Stream pipelines sabotage. The gas pipelines, there's two of them, they run from Russia to Europe. And this comes at a tipping point time for Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. Overnight, the Russians touting sham voting results in occupied territories of Ukraine. These bogus results showing a majority there in favor of joining Russia. That's no surprise. This, by the way, violates international law. The State Department says it signals a very desperate Putin.
These actions from President Putin signal very clearly that he knows he is losing. He's on his back heels, and he's making every attempt to intimidate those who would stand up to him.
I want to bring in former CIA Director John Brennan and the author of Undaunted, My Fight Against America's Enemies at Home and Abroad, which is now on sale in paperback. I do want to ask you about what this may mean. These sham voting results at a time where you have former President Medvedev, who's a current Russian government official, saying yesterday that Russia, and we've heard this before, but he's making this point, that Russia could use nuclear weapons if sort of its existence is threatened. Well, now you have these votes of people saying that this should be basically Russian territory. Do you see any concerns between his comments and these sham votes?
Well, I think Putin and Medvedev are searching for things to do and to say that will indicate to their people, as well as to others, that they are not losing this war as badly as they are. As pointed out, this is a sham election. It is illegitimate, illegal to hold such an election in a foreign country. And Medvedev has no idea in terms of what NATO might do and respond in terms of what Russia might opt to do on the nuclear front. It's clear that Russia is in a downward spiral. Battlefield setbacks are coming one after the other. There is domestic opposition to this partial mobilization. So I think they're going to see some additional saber rattling and also trying to consolidate their hold on the portion of Ukraine that they do occupy.
You're seeing this mass exodus of fighting age men from Russia as Putin is drafting them. You've seen some attacks at recruiting areas. We're even hearing about intercepts of these grumblings between top military officials. At what point is this going from grumblings to destabilization of Putin's regime in Russia, in your opinion?
Well, I think we're seeing early signs of what is, I think, serious political opposition to Putin's war in Ukraine. As these young Russian men are trying to flee the country, it's clear that a large part of the Russian population is not supportive of this military conflict. And secondly, these young Russians know that they will just be sent to slaughter in Ukraine. The Ukrainian forces have done exceedingly well as far as being able to withstand the Russian onslaught. And the number of Russian soldiers killed in the tens of thousands, I think, is clearly sending a chill inside of Russia right now. So I think we're going to see more of this. The question is, what will be the breaking point, and what can Putin do to try to reverse what clearly is a very, very bad trajectory for him?
Do you think he's stable? Do you think he's well?
I think he is an autocrat, authoritarian leader who is feeling increasingly beset by problems and by the miscalculations that he has made as far as going into Ukraine. He's isolated. He is also trying to hold on to power. So I think we're seeing increasingly desperate steps that are being taken. And if these explosions in the undersea gas pipelines off the Danish coast are acts of sabotage, I think we're going to see more and more things that Putin is going to try to do to try to weaken the resolve of the NATO countries, but also to try to intimidate anybody who might oppose him.
Do you think Russia's behind the sabotage of the pipelines?
Well, I think all the signs point to some type of sabotage. These pipelines are only in about 200 feet or so of water, and Russia does have an undersea capability that would easily lay explosive devices by those pipelines. And I do think it's a signal to Europe that Russia can reach beyond Ukraine's borders. So who knows what he might be planning next? But I think this is clearly an act of sabotage of some sort, and Russia is certainly the most likely suspect.
Why blow up their own pipelines if they can obviously just cut off the gas flowing from them?
Well, there's been no gas flowing through those pipelines, although there's some gas that's been pent up
Mm.
in them. That's why we've had the methane release. But there's also pipelines that are going into Europe that are bringing gas from Norway. And so it won't take much if Russia decides to go after the other pipelines that are bringing gas into Europe. So I think this might be, again, a sign that Russia is intent on doing whatever it believes it needs to do in order to weaken a European resolve. But I think this might be just the first salvo of some additional things that might be coming toward Europe.
It's incredibly alarming to hear, obviously, those details. We appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Brianna.